In school, I was that kid. You know, the one who couldn't stay focused during lectures, or would abandon projects halfway through because something else seemed more interesting. I didn't know it back then, but ADHD was driving that constant mental shift. Fast forward to adulthood, and guess what? It didn't magically get better. Instead, I had to learn to work with my ADHD and not fight against it. And after a few years of trial and error, I found 5 absolute game changers when it comes to working well with ADHD, and in this video, that's what I'm going to share with you guys. Let's start with the first one, noise canceling headphones. I've always had generic AirPods and I typically had them in, but it never actually had any sort of noise canceling effect. And one day a friend let me try on his noise canceling headphones and whoa. I put them on and it was like someone hit the mute button on the world. The chatter, the clanging, the background noise, it all just disappeared. It was instant peace that I didn't even know was possible, and immediately I was hooked. A few days later, I ordered my own pair, and honestly, it was best investment. And since then, I've added a few more pairs to my collection, and they are in my ears more times than they aren't. Right now, I am obsessed with the Technics AZ80. I'll be honest, they're not cheap, but I have zero regrets with them. They're my go-to for everything. Whether I'm running errands, working out, trying to focus at work, or just need to mute my girlfriend for a minute or two. But here's why they are a game changer. Noise canceling headphones don't just block out noise. They create this mental bubble that just helps me focus. And for someone with ADHD where distraction feels like magnets for your attention, this was huge. That ability to simultaneously block out all the noise around me and then put on my lo-fi beats or bass-heavy tracks just brings me to the present. And as cool as the tech is, that psychological impact is just something you just can't get anywhere else. The next thing I need is morning exercise and mindful movement throughout the day. One thing I've learned about ADHD is that movement isn't optional, it's a necessity. Sitting still feels like absolute torture when your brain is firing things in a million directions. And for me, getting my body moving first thing in the morning is like a reset for my brain. Not only are you working your muscles and getting healthier, but you're shaking off that mental fog and you're setting the tone for the rest of the day. And morning exercise doesn't have to be anything crazy. There's no need to run a marathon or try to set a Guinness record. All you really need is just a simple walk or some light stretching or a 30-minute bodyweight workout. And that little bit of movement has made all the difference for me. Exercise boosts both dopamine and serotonin in the brain, which is something that ADHD brains typically tend to be very low on. So by starting my day this way, I'm giving my brain the fuel it needs to stay on track all day. On mornings that I don't work out, I'm sluggish and I'm scattered, and it's way harder for me to get zoned in. And working a corporate 9-to-5 office job has never been more challenging. I will get up and walk around all the time and pace, and it is very apparent that there's something wrong with me. When I'm overwhelmed or I'm just spiraling into distractions, getting up and taking a short break walking around just helps me snap out of it. They're like mini reboots or a timeout in a video game, where I am just stretching out my ability to focus for as long as I can. And when I'm combining both that morning exercise and movement throughout the day, that's when I notice that my brain is just functioning and firing on all cylinders. The next thing I need is, it's a bit of a weird habit, but it's become a cornerstone in the way I work. At any given moment, I have 2, sometimes 3 drinks next to me. And this isn't a preference. I know I'm weird, but this is like a non-negotiable now. But there is a reason behind it, and it is connected to a common ADHD trait. People with ADHD often engage in something called oral fixation. Get your minds out of the gutter. This is a form of stimming that helps calm the nervous system. It's a psychological habit that's used as a coping mechanism for stress, anxiety, and other emotional states. Some people chew gum, or they fidget, or they pick their nose. But for me, I just keep drinks nearby. It's a subtle ritual, but it's one that just really helps me stay grounded when my mind starts to wander. Hydration plays a huge role in maintaining focus, and being dehydrated makes those ADHD symptoms like irritability and brain fog a lot worse. And that's why I'm never that far away from a hydro flask. This thing is huge, and thanks to the insulation, I know that even when I forget to drink for hours and hours, when I do decide to, I know that the water is still going to be cold. It's funny how something as simple as keeping a few drinks close by can make such a difference, but sometimes it's the smallest things that really just bring the most order. The next thing is my analog solution for ADHD, which is my paper planner. Despite trying out pretty much every productivity app and digital planner out there, nothing seems to work as well as just my paper planner. I don't know, there's just something about the simplicity of a pen and paper that just works for my ADHD brain. When my mind feels like it's just racing in a million directions, this piece of paper cuts through all the clutter and just keeps me focused. And I find that physically writing things out provides this tactical and visual way to manage my tasks. And it helps me internalize and prioritize what I need to do way better than any digital tool could. The planner itself is straightforward on one single page with 4 sections: critical tasks, time-bound commitments, important but not urgent tasks, and regular habits. It cuts through the noise of never-ending to-do lists and offers clarity on what needs to get done that day, while still keeping the bigger picture in mind. And what I love most is its simplicity. There's no notifications, there's no distractions, just a clear sense of direction. And beyond organization, this planner just gives me a sense of control. It keeps me grounded and just prevents distractions from completely derailing my day. If you want a deeper dive into how I use the system to stay organized and manage my ADHD, I made a previous video that you can watch after this. But trust me when I say that this simple piece of paper has become one of the most effective tools that I have found to just reduce stress and help me stay on track. The next one's a bit of a taboo subject, but I'm here, why not? I'm not gonna hide anything. It's medication. I'll be honest, starting Adderall in my 30s has completely transformed the way I function day to day. Before my ADHD diagnosis, I was the person who couldn't stay on task, who struggled to get anything done, and who just always felt like he was constantly trying to keep up with everyone else. I had obviously heard about medications like Adderall, there was people in college taking it before tests, and there's always just been this stereotype around it. When I finally decided to give it a try, I went in cautiously optimistic. I wasn't expecting a miracle cure. I just wanted to see if it could bridge the gap between me actually wanting to focus and being able to focus. It doesn't magically turn me into a superhuman worker, but it does quiet the distractions around me that would have normally pulled me away from what I was trying to get done. It's like the background noise in my mind gets turned down a few notches, and I could finally focus on the task at hand. And although it's been incredibly helpful, I'm very mindful about how I use it. Some days I just don't need it, and I'll skip a dose. And on other days, it helps me power through an overwhelming workload. I know that there's a common misconception that people with ADHD use Adderall as a crutch or a way to cheat their way into productivity, but that's really not the case. For people like me, it's more like leveling the playing field with everyone else. Trust me, if you could be inside my brain right now, you would need some help. When you're constantly battling just to keep up with everyday life and just to remember to take a shower, you could see why someone like me might need this. With that said, also remember that everyone's ADHD is different. What works for me might not work for someone else, and that's okay. You might be the nose picker instead of the water bottle guy, and do you. Whatever helps you function at your best, I am not one to judge. Honestly, it's all process of trial and error, and I just encourage you guys to go out and experiment with systems until you find a unique combination of tools that just benefit you the most. Let me know in the comments, what's been your most effective tool for managing ADHD? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. It helps a lot with the algorithm, it helps push the video to more ADHDers, and we could all band together. And honestly, if you made it this far in the video, your ADHD is a lot better than mine, so congratulations. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in that next video. Later! Got a great show for you guys today. It's me. I haven't done one of these intros before, but if you're new, go ahead and hit that button because I got a bailed button for you. All right.